What's going on, everybody? This is Al from PlaybookGamer.com, and today we're going to look at the North Texas Air Raid Playbook in College Football 25. This is a unique air raid playbook. It's not your typical just passing all the time. It's very option heavy, and it's got a lot of pre-snap motion built in as well. But if you need your base air raid passing game, it's got plenty of it to boot. So we're going to go over the formations and concepts and play types and personnel, and hopefully by the end of the video, you'll have a good idea of what this playbook is all about. So let's talk about the formations first. We got plenty of shotgun. We got one pistol formation that's pistol full house close. And I'll go ahead and tell you, this is the only playbook that has this formation in the entire game. Now, you may look at these 6 plays and think I don't really need this, which is fine, but I just want to point that out. This is the rarest of the rare in terms of a playbook having one particular thing, and it's this right here. So you got a read option, you got a dive and a counter, you got play action and zone and triple option off of that. Again, there's just not a whole lot in here, but it's the only playbook that has it, so I wanted to point that out. And that is kind of it. You got goal line, Hail Mary, it's all shotgun. I mean, like 98% of this is going to be all shotgun. So let's go here for the rest of the video. Let's start off with split slot. This is a 20 personnel look. You look at the 2 running backs, and 22 is a wide receiver, and you got 21 plays there. And then we get into some 11 personnel. You got normal Y off. You got slot left stack. You got slot left weak. You got Y off trips. Then you got Y off trips weak. Y offset, Y trio offset weak. Then you got slot right. Then you got bunch wide. Then you got tight open. And notice I'm not talking anything about personnel because this is nothing but 11 personnel. Even when you get to the real spread stuff, you still see 88 out there as your tight end. Again, it's still 11 personnel, but you got a double stack, you got a spread Y flex, you got a trips out of this, open, halfback strong, tray open. Then we get into a few empty concepts. We got empty base, empty quads open. And that's it for the entire playbook, but there's just a wide variety of ways to move your players around. I like we got 1-2 back sets just to give you something, the defense a little something different. But again, a lot of this is going to be 11 personnel, but you got like classic, I call this Gus Malzahn stuff when you got that halfback to the hip, your slot left and slot right stuff. That's what he ran at Auburn forever, and I think he probably still runs some of that in Central Florida. But you got plenty of that in there, and then you get into, there you go, more slot right. But then you can get into your real spread stuff at a bunch wide, tight open, your stack, and you even got plenty of empty to boot. So if you really like to move your players around, but want to stick to the same few personnel groupings, I think you're really going to like this playbook. So one thing I really want to talk about with these particular formations is I like to look for trends and like series, basic like pre-snap motion, especially if the playbook has plenty of it. And this one does. So let's go to split slot. And you go down here, we got our nice first little series. Notice your halfback does a little alert motion out of all 3 of these plays. You got a Z spot, you got a flood dig, X dig, and you got a slot dig on top of that. I'm going to do this flood X dig. We'll go up against nickel. So you got like a backside dig with a little trio on the right side. Let's see if that changes anything. Looks like my halfback's open over here. Can I get any yards out of it? Not a whole lot. But just, just a nice little way if you want to put a little window dressing on your schemes. There's going to be plenty of it in this playbook. Go to this dig. That's easily picked off. That was a bad throw on my part. But some really good stuff in here. Again, just a unique way to kind of move some guys around. You go over to normal Y off. I don't think there was. Yes, there was. This is a jet sweep series right here. You got your touch pass. You got power off of that. And you got the verticals on top of that. You go to slot left stack. Look, we're here. We got another jet sweep series. You got the fake. You got the jet. And you got another run play on top of that, and you keep on going. You go to slot left weak. Do we have any here? I don't think we do. What about Y off trips? We got several formations that have it. Y off trips weak. Did it have any as well? Let's see. There we go. So we got a little Z motion action. That's what I call your far right receiver when he's moving in or out or whatever. You got a zone, you got a Z spot, and you got a motion shot on top of that. You keep on going. You may find more. So it's very easy and quickly to kind of go through all these and see if you can find a series of plays that just really fit together. You go to bunch wide. Do we have anybody here? A little bit of tight open. We can look here. Double stack. I think some of these empty formations had some motion, if I'm not mistaken. So here we got just a jet sweep play there. There we go. So notice mesh. This is an air raid playbook, so you're going to expect a lot of mesh, and this is a lot of window dressing to throw in with your mesh. You got motion, H mesh, you got H motion mesh post, then you got H motion mesh wheel. So if you are like a super mesh guy, like I love my mesh, I feel like I'm more comfortable with just about any pass concept in the game. But again, it's just got a little window dressing, so I can throw this at the defense all day and just go back and forth between these three plays and have a boatload of fun with it, I would think. I think I would. So you go, if you needed a post, you got that. If you need the wheel with the halfback, you got that. So it's just a neat little combination of stuff right there. You keep on going. Do we have any more in this formation? We don't. What about tray open? Look at here. Halfback or H motion mesh, H motion mesh post, and H motion X shallow cross the third. That's a lot of words there. So you go in here. I'm going to go up against a random nickel. It's fine. It's just more mesh. But again, just a little bit of window dressing. Looks like they may be going cover 0 possibly. Nope, looks like they're just doing, can I get this play off? I got a little bit on that one. Either way, just a really neat, unique set of things. You're just motioning a wide receiver over from one side to the other. And then, now it's mesh, but it's technically shallow cross in this case. You've got that deep dig. Let's call this again. See, wait, looks like they're going, man, looks like the dig's open. Good little play there. Going to pick up a good gain right there. So just some really neat stuff. So imagine you use those three plays right there. Then you go over to this one right here. Imagine going back and forth between those 6 plays alone. You go between those 6 plays, sprinkle in a run. I mean, that's a scheme in and of itself, especially if you just don't mind running mesh and shallow cross over and over again. So you keep on going through this formation. Let's see, empty base. I think one of these empties had some motion in it. Is it bunch quads? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of another playbook. I'm working on 2 playbooks at once. Either way, you got plenty of pre-snap motion in here if that's what you want in an air raid offense. So we've looked at some formations. Let's talk about personnel. If this had a downside to the entire playbook, I think it's the lack of personnel. But again, maybe you don't care about that. That's kind of a big deal for me. This is pretty much nothing but 11 personnel. This entire playbook is just a whole bunch of 11. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but every now and then I want to throw 4 wide receivers out there when I have the ball with sub packages all the time. You got 23 personnel. There's your goal line. You got slot left stack. That is an oddball formation, by the way, in terms of the rarity, but it's a 12 personnel set there. You got a goal. You got your QB kneel. 21 is your full house close and clock management, and your split slot. You do have an empty quads, which is an 0-1 personnel. So if you want to go 4 wide receivers, this is it. And you only got 6 plays to work with. So kind of keep that in mind. And that's it. I kind of wish it had a little bit more 10 personnel, but that's just me personally. Again, you may not care about that. Let's talk about the concepts. As you would imagine, this is an air raid playbook, but it's got a lot of option stuff in it, as we're going about to see. So let's look at the runs first. We got over 40 basic runs. We got 8 counters. We got 2 ISOs, 5 powers. You got 8 draws. That's a high number, as it should be, because you're going to be passing a lot out of this playbook. 15 inside zones. It all starts here. This is always going to be your most popular run concept in any spread/air raid playbook. You got 6 outside zones, which I think is kind of a high number for that. And you got 2 sweeps. So when it comes to an air raid offense, you're going to keep the run game kind of simple, besides the option stuff we're going to look at here in a minute. But you got 15 inside zones. I would do that. And if you want to throw in a little bit of power, you can. Let's go to option. Notice we got more option plays than runs. You go to option, we got 6 RPO peaks. I'm going to go back to the far end. Notice they put RPO peak at the very front. Then they threw the other 2 RPO concepts on the other end. So if you hit L1, you come back over here. RPO read, you got 7 of these. And then you got 10 alerts. So you got a little bit of everything in terms of your RPOs and different ways of doing it. You got hitches, you got glance routes, things of that nature. So kind of keep that in mind, because this is air raid. Think a lot of screens. So when I'm doing an air raid playbook, I'm thinking I'm going to throw a lot of screens at the defense. I treat these RPOs as basic screens. At least that's the way I look at them. Yes, you could run out of them, of course, but these are just more screens. So think of this. You got 7, you got 10, and you got 6. I know some of these kind of blend in together, but you got over 20 RPOs roughly. Okay, so keep that number in mind as we talk about the screens later. You talk about inverted veer, we got 1 of these. You got 4 load options. You got 12 reads. You got 2 shovels. You got some speed options, which is those 4 loads we looked at. And you got 5 triples. That's the most amount of triple I've ever seen in an air raid playbook so far. So if you're an option guy, If you like to run read option, if you want to do a little shuffle, if you want to do a little speed, if you want to do a little triple, you got plenty of that in here. That's why I kind of call it the option raid playbook. There's just a lot of variety here. Okay. So that's your option stuff. Let's talk about quick pass. Now you notice we got a bunch of different concepts here. You got a few you got a few Omahas, a few Ohios, a scat. It says we got 8 slants and a little spacing, but it's an air raid playbook. You know what we're going to call here. Stick. Tons of stick in here. This is the base quick concept of the air raid offense. Let's see if I can make this look halfway decent. Going to get a few yards there. Not too bad. Let's see if I can read this backside post. Can I get that one? Not bad. Going to pick up about 8 or 10 right there. Either way, this is where you start. If you want a quick game, I suggest you just master stick. I don't think you have to bother with pure slants. I know we got a few of them in here, but notice when you go down this list, what do you see? Stick and stick and more stick. So again, it's all about the stick concept with your quick passing. You go to medium pass. We got quite a bit of stuff there, but still kind of keep the air raid in mind. Think mesh and shallow cross and things of that nature. We got 8 curls. That's a good amount of number. Again, it's just double. It's just got curl flats on either side for most of those. You got 5 Salems. Then you got 23 smash, a lot of high-lows, and this is all different variety. You got your flag and hitch, you got your corner and flat, you got a corner and out route, then you got that basic smash when you got a flag and an out on one end, and you got a corner and flat on the other. Just a lot of different ways to run high-low. It just depends on what you like there. But like with most spread playbooks and even air raids, smash, there's going to be plenty of it in here. You got 6 choices. You got 6 double moves. You got a 6 drives, but think of drive. It's just like shallow cross, but you got your drag and dig going to the same side. You got 1 level, and you got a bunch of mesh. We looked at some of this already. It's got a lot of that pre-snap motion built in, but you got it from different formations. You got your empty looks, you got your 2-back looks, and you got just a little bit of everything. This is where your medium pass game starts, in my opinion. If you're going to run this playbook, it starts with mesh. It begins and ends pretty much with mesh. You got 2 pivots. You got a shallow cross, which I think is kind of funny. They only put 1 in here, but you go through some of these other ones, there's plenty of shallow cross in there. They just didn't dump it here. You go to slot cross, one of those. You got 8 spots. This is technically Y corner in the air raid world. But if you like spot, I'd definitely be using this quite a bit as well. It's just kind of like a same side read with like a backside man beaters. Then you got 4 Texas. This is kind of high, honestly, but normally the Texas route is usually that angle route you see over here on the left. Motion angle Z spot with that halfback motion out. They're doing an angle route. A lot of people call that the Texas route. But you look at these other plays, look at motion flood X dig. That's not an angle route. Motion slot dig. That's not an angle route. So for whatever reason they call them that and see that with this over here on the left, that is an angle route by the halfback. Either way, they think they got 4 of them in here. So again, medium pass, what we're going to be doing, shallow cross, mesh, and smash. And throw in a little curl if you want to. You go to deep pass, we got 13 comebacks. Just pretty much any play that's got a comeback route would put it in here. Even with this motion flug X dig we looked at, technically that halfback is coming back, which is why they threw it in here. You go 2 divides. We got a few double digs, 1 double post. You got 5 floods. You got 14 verticals. This is pretty common in an air raid playbook. You want to go deep every once in a while. And my favorite ones is this X drag. I like to have a little drag route underneath below all these vertical. Let's see if I can make this work. Can you get it? Nice. Nice little play. I love that. Nice little read, too. If you go underneath, if it's going zone, you can go right here. That's a good play by that safety. He just followed him the whole way through. That was pretty nice. But anyway, I really like these types of plays. But again, if you like the classic verticals, you can do that as well. You got plenty of it in here. Then you go over to 5 meals. And what's meals? Of course, meals is a post with a dig underneath it. But what are we seeing here? Shallow cross, a back cross, inside cross. What's inside cross look like? That's mesh with a dig on top of it. It's the same 3 or 4 routes over and over again. You got Portland. You got 13 shot plays. It's a different variety here, but you're still seeing what? More mesh. You got stick. It's still kind of the same stuff. Switch, you got 4 of these, but look at this. I'm seeing the word mesh. I'm seeing the word shallow cross. We got a little PA wheel. Again, it's air raid all over. Then you got Y cross. It says we only got 2 of those, but we saw some other plays where it's got that cross from that slot receiver. Play action, as you would imagine, there's not going to be a ton of play action in this playbook because you're going to throw a lot and it's not run play action heavy. It says we got a 1 boot and a few slides, but we'll look at the play types here in a minute. You go to screen pass. So what do we talk about with the RPOs? RPOs, we got what, 30-ish type RPOs in this playbook. Let's talk about the other RPO or the other screens. Now, here's some more of those RPOs we looked at, but you go over to flanker screen, we got 6 of those, and you got a couple mid screens. But if you go over to play types, go over to pass, you go over to screen, we got 23 non-RPO screens. So 23 plus those 30-ish RPOs, that gives you around 50 screenplays in this playbook. You got to run screens in this offense, or why bothering with this playbook? Honestly, there's so many screens in this playbook, you just have to use them. So kind of keep that in mind. So let's go back. I want to talk about play action again. There's not going to be a whole lot in here, but there's 19 of them. But you're going to be doing more just option and then air raid stuff on top of that. So don't feel bad if you're not going to use some of this stuff right here. So I wanted to point that out in this little section. But when it comes to the runs, we've already looked at this, but in different order. You got, 27 insides, you got 6 outsides, and not much of anything else. You got some counter, you got some draw. So if you're going to pass a lot in this playbook, I would suggest you use quite a bit of draw. And I'm a big draw fan as long as the blocking is good. That's kind of the bugaboo with this game, is the blocking decent enough for you to make the plays. And it can be. It's just up to the, offensive line to kind of do their part. But see that right there, the draw is just super simple. You could treat it like a dive play more or less, and it's very quick, and I like that. You got 2 fullback runs, and you got 3 QB runs. So we talked about a lot of the option. We got a lot of reads, speeds, leads, triples, and shovels. But then you got basic runs with QB blast and a pass power and whatnot. So do you want to run the ball with your quarterback and do air raid? This is what this playbook is all about, I'm telling you. So you go over to options. We got these 22s. Again, these are your speeds, leads, reads, your triples. You got leads off of that, and just a lot of fun stuff in here. You got a dart option as well. You got inverted veer. Just a nice little variety of options. But then we talked about these RPOs. Treat these as screens. That's the way I would do it. But if you want to just treat this playbook as an RPO playbook, I guess you can. But I would treat these more of, hey, I want to do a screen. Let's just go ahead and do that. There's more variety here than basic run concept, to the point where I don't know if you will ever use hardly any of these. Just my opinion. Unless your quarterback, I don't know, it's just up to you. But I think there's a lot more RPO-based stuff to work off of than dealing with any of this. But if you want to do basic handoffs, by all means, you got plenty of it in here. Then again, we just talked about those RPOs. So that's it. It's an air raid playbook. It's got a variety of cool formations in terms of moving players around. Not a lot of variety in your personnel. But if you want to run the ball with your quarterback, if you want to do a lot of different options with your read, your speed, your lead, your shovel, and your triple, and then you want that air raid passing attack, this is the only playbook you need, and I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.